Welcome to the Full Moon Film Buff, episode 129. We're going to talk about Underworld from 2003. I rented this on Amazon Prime, and I have seen it before. As always, we start with the prominent crew and cast. The show notes include links to a more complete credit list. This film was directed by Len Wiseman, written by Danny McBride, Kevin Grevioux, and Len Wiseman. Practical effects by Patrick Totopoulos Productions, with visual effects by Framestone CFC and Luma Pictures. Although Len Wiseman is best known for directing action films, his career began in the art department. His breakthrough into directing films came with Underworld. We'll see more of his work as we follow this franchise. Wiseman went on to direct Live Free or Die Hard in 2007 and the Total Recall remake in 2012. At this point, Wiseman transitioned into television writing, directing, and production, helping create genre shows like Sleepy Hollow, Lucifer, and Swamp Thing. He is reportedly working on adapting or continuing the Underworld and Sin City franchises to television. Danny McBride, not that Danny McBride, dabbled in music, stunts, and ultimately writing and filmmaking. Underworld and its sequels comprise most of his credits. Kevin Greviox's path to Hollywood began with scientific studies, as he pursued microbiology at Howard University before leaving his genetic engineering graduate program to enter entertainment. His scientific background proved valuable when he co-created and co-wrote the Underworld franchise alongside Len Wiseman and Danny McBride, where he also played the role of Reyes, a formidable lycan enforcer. Greviox's innovative concept of combining vampire and werewolf mythologies with modern science and genetic engineering became central to the series' success. His career has spanned both sides of the camera, including writing and starring in 2014's I, Frankenstein, which he adapted from his graphic novel. As an actor, his commanding physical presence and distinctive voice have landed him numerous roles across film and television. Grevioux has also made his mark in comics, writing for Marvel Comics' New Warriors and creating original properties like ZMD, Zombies of Mass Destruction for Red 5 Comics. His rare combination of scientific expertise and creative talent has helped him forge a unique career in Hollywood. Patrick Totopoulos began his entertainment career working on music videos and commercials in the late 80s. His breakthrough came creating creature designs for Roland Emmerich's Stargate in 1994. This led to collaborations on blockbusters like Independence Day in 1996 and Godzilla in 1998. In the late 90s, Totopoulos founded Patrick Totopoulos Designs, a studio specializing in creature design and special effects. His work appeared in films like Pitch Black in 2000 and I, Robot in 2004. He became known for successfully blending practical effects with early CGI during a pivotal time in film history. The Underworld franchise marked a significant shift in his career. After serving as production designer on the first film in 2003, he made his directorial debut with Underworld Rise of the Lycans in 2009. During this time, he also met actress Mackenzie Westmore, known for her work in Face Off. The couple married in October of 2015, and Totopoulos became associated with the famous Westmore family of makeup artists. His later work includes production design for 300, Rise of an Empire in 2014, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice in 2016, and Justice League in 2017. Today, Totopoulos continues working on major film projects, and we will see him again in this project. The cast includes Kate Beckinsale as Celine, Scott Speedman as Michael Corvin, Michael Sheen as Lucian, Shane Brawley as Craven, Bill Nighy as Victor, Sophia Myles as Erica, and Kevin Grevioux as Reyes. Kate Beckinsale grew up surrounded by acting. Her parents were Richard Beckinsale, a beloved British TV actor, and actress Judy Lowe. Tragedy marked her childhood when her father died of a heart attack in 1979, when she was just 5 years old. As a teen, she battled anorexia, which she has discussed openly. Her breakthrough came in 1993 as hero in Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing, followed by the lead in ITV's adaptation of Emma. Beckinsale then moved to Hollywood, starring in Pearl Harbor in 2001. The Underworld franchise proved pivotal, establishing her as an action star and introducing her to director Len Wiseman, whom she married in 2004 and then later divorced in 2019. Her career has balanced action films like Van Helsing and Total Recall with dramatic roles in Nothing But the Truth and Love and Friendship. Beckinsale shares a daughter, Lily Mo Sheen, with actor Michael Sheen from their relationship that spanned from 1995 to 2003. Today, their daughter carries on the family tradition as an actress. Scott Speedman began as a competitive swimmer on the Canadian junior national team until an injury redirected him to acting. His breakthrough came in 1998 with the hit series Felicity, launching his television career. He then moved to film, starring in Underworld and its sequel alongside Kate. Speedman has shown his range across both mainstream and independent films, including XXX, State of the Union, The Strangers, Barney's Version, and The Vow. Recently, he's returned to television with notable roles in Animal Kingdom, You, and joined Grey's Anatomy in 2021 as Dr. Nick Marsh. Michael Sheen first earned acclaim as a stage actor in productions like Romeo and Juliet and Amadeus. He became known for portraying real figures, playing Tony Blair in 3 films, The Deal, The Queen, and The Special Relationship, and David Frost in Frost Nixon. His fame grew through the Underworld series and Good Omens, where he played the angel Aziraphale, and he later appeared in the Twilight Saga. Notable TV roles include Masters of Sex and Prodigal Son. Beyond acting, Sheen is an activist who, in 2021, declared himself a not-for-profit actor, pledging all future earnings to charity. Shane Brawley is perhaps best known for this role as Craven in the 2003 film Underworld and its 2006 sequel Underworld Evolution. Brawley began his acting career in the late 90s, appearing in various television shows and films. Besides acting, Brawley is a published author. Bill Nighy spent decades in British theater before his mainstream breakthrough, playing aging rock star Billy Mack in Love Actually and Victor in Underworld, both in 2003. He gained international fame as Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, bringing the character to life through groundbreaking motion capture. His notable films include The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, About Time, Hot Fuzz, and Shaun of the Dead. In 2023, he earned his first Oscar nomination for Living, a remake of the Kurosawa masterpiece Akiru. Throughout his career, Nighy has remained active in television and theater. Sophia Myles' first professional acting role was in The Prince and the Pauper in 1996. Major roles included Lady Penelope in the 2004 film adaptation of Thunderbirds, Isolde in the 2006 film Tristan and Isolde, and Transformers: Age of Extinction in 2014. She earned praise for her performance as Madame de Pompadour in the acclaimed Doctor Who episode The Girl on the Fireplace in 2006. Her other notable TV work include roles in Moonlight, Spooks, known as MI5 in some regions, and A Discovery of Witches. Underworld is a must-watch for multiple audiences. The film takes familiar ingredients and serves up a fresh dish. The film blends gothic horror aesthetics with modern action, pioneering the now familiar concept of an organized vampire-werewolf conflict. It delves deeply into its world building and creates a fresh, engaging mythology all its own. Viewers seeking either creature feature thrills or stylized action choreography will find plenty to appreciate in this genre-defining work. Now, The Matrix revolutionized action cinematography in 1999, and its influence is obvious in Underworld's blue-tinted visual style and choreography just 4 years later. Though the creators never explicitly acknowledged The Matrix as an inspiration, the similarities were immediately apparent to both critics and viewers. The most striking parallel between these films is their visual presentation. Both embrace a dark aesthetic dominated by black leather costumes, long coats, gothic settings, and an almost monochromatic color palette. Even the main characters share visual DNA. Celine, like Trinity, appears in skin-tight black leather, sports a short, dark hairstyle, and executes impressive acrobatic combat moves. When vampires and lycans move through Underworld, especially during fights and chases, their enhanced abilities mirror those seen in The Matrix. Both films employ slow motion in similar ways, using it to highlight these supernatural capabilities. The settings also share common ground: dark, urban environments where ancient conflicts unfold in the shadows. Just as The Matrix's resistance operates from abandoned buildings and forgotten spaces, so do Underworld's vampire and lycan covens. While the specific plots differ, both films reveal a hidden world beneath ordinary human society. In The Matrix, this truth involves the nature of reality itself. In Underworld, it's the existence of vampires and werewolves. Both stories feature female protagonists familiar with these truths, guiding a chosen one into their extraordinary world. These similarities drew mixed reactions. Some critics praised the stylistic choices, while others dismissed them as derivative. Yet, Underworld maintains its own identity through mythology and narrative. The Matrix influence was a broad trend in the early 2000s action films, where the Wachowskis' revolutionary approach to combining style, action, and mythology created a template many would follow. Interestingly, the Underworld franchise nearly crossed paths with 2 other supernatural properties: Marvel's Blade the Vampire Hunter and I, Frankenstein. However, neither crossover materialized. So now, let's review the synopsis. For generations, vampires and lycans have waged a secret war. The vampires gained the upper hand when Lycan leader Lucian died at the hands of Craven, who became second in command to the vampires' elders. Selene belongs to an elite group of vampire assassins known as Death Dealers, who pursue the extermination of the Lycans. She loves her work. Selene and two other Death Dealers clash with two Lycans in a subway station. The Lycans had developed high-tech ultraviolet ammunition, evening the playing field and allowing them to kill vampires in a modern gang-style gunfight. Of course, old-school fangs and claws work just as well as they always have. Selene overhears the Lycans planning an assault on the vampires at something called the Awakening, but no one will believe her. They see the Lycans as too weak to pose a significant threat. She also discovers that the Lycans are after an ordinary medical student named Michael Corvin. Craven hints Selene has personal motivations for her vengeance. A Lycan mad scientist named Singe unsuccessfully performs some very apparently unethical experiments. He needs Michael to make progress. Selene disregards Craven's orders and investigates Michael. She's blunt in her approach, and Michael flees and she chases. But Lycans get to him first. Lucian bites Michael before Selene spirits him away, using a primitive method to take a blood sample. Since Selene lost a lot of blood in the fight, she passes out and drives the pair into the bay. Michael saves her unlife, and she takes him back to the Vampire Coven mansion. Lucian returns the blood sample and lets us know Michael will now become a Lycan on the next full moon in 2 days, which coincides with the vampire's awakening event. Now, Craven is furious with Selene for disobeying him. Erica discovers Michael was bitten by a Lycan, and he escapes the mansion. Khan, the vampire techie, has modified the Lycan's ultraviolet rounds to deliver silver nitrate, which will poison werewolf blood and be even more lethal. Since Craven was the only witness to Lucian's death, Selene suspects that he lied and may in fact be working with the Lycans, which turns out to be true. Michael tries to get medical help for his bite, but must flee two werewolf cops. Selene wakes hibernating elder vampire Victor over a century ahead of schedule to seek his guidance. He is not thrilled about this, or what Selene shows him. Michael returns to the mansion since he doesn't know where else to go. Selene leaves to hide Michael in a safe house. She brings Michael up to speed on the situation that he finds himself thrust into. Since Michael will transform into a werewolf when the full moon rises, Selene restrains him. As the two wait, she gradually tells him more about her past, revealing that Victor adopted her and turned her into a vampire after her family was killed by Lycans. This is why she is so focused on killing them. She also tells him that his hallucinations are memories that Lucian has passed down to him via the lycanthropic virus. The pair share a kiss. Selene returns to her coven's mansion. Craven seems to be under the impression that Selene will be his queen. She lets him know with a fist to the face that this is not true. Victor is furious Selene broke protocol and refuses to believe Selene's warnings about Craven's treachery. Selene is taken into custody to be judged by the Vampiric Council. Meanwhile, while en route to the mansion to awaken Marcus, the Coven's current ruler, Amelia, and her escort are ambushed and killed by Lycans. Craven has sold her out. Feeling betrayed by Craven, Erica allows Selene to escape the mansion. Michael sees more of Lucian's memories within when the Lycans capture him. Selene abducts the Lycan scientist Singe. At the vampire's mansion, Singe reveals that Selene was being truthful about Craven's treachery and reveals why the Lycans want Michael. All vampires and Lycans have a common ancestor, which Michael is a direct mortal descendant of. This man survived a plague and became the first immortal. The legend says 2 of his sons became the first vampire and first werewolf. As an heir to the legendary Corvinus bloodline, Michael carries a unique genetic code that could allow him to become a vampire-werewolf hybrid, which Singe predicts will lack the weaknesses of both species. An angered Victor kills Singe and mobilizes the Death Dealers to raid the Lycan's lair to kill the remaining Lycans, including Michael. While held captive, Michael learns that Lucian was once in love with Victor's daughter, Sonia. After Victor discovered their affair, he murdered her and made Lucian watch. Lucian claims Lycans were once slaves of vampires, and the war began when they rose up and fought for their freedom. Craven shows up, and it's revealed Lucian has been helping him take over the Vampire Council in exchange for peace. Instead, Craven betrays the Lycans and shoots Lucian in the back, but he's too tough to die immediately. In the ensuing bloodbath between the vampires and Lycans, Selene rescues Michael, and they kiss again. Craven tells Selene that Victor was the one who murdered her family, and only spared and mentored her because she reminded him of Sonia. Lucien gets one last blow on Craven and convinces Celine to bite a fatally injured Michael, making him a vampire-werewolf hybrid. Craven finishes Lucien before running. When Victor arrives, he admits to everything. He also insists that he did love Sonia and killed her for the good of his people. He reveals that she was pregnant with Lucien's child, an abomination in the eyes of both species. Lastly, he claims he made Celine immortal because he loved her and proceeds to fight the hybrid Michael. Initially overwhelmed by Michael's raw speed and strength, Victor eventually gains the upper hand and begins to choke the life out of him. Celine kills Victor by slicing his head in half with his own sword. Now hunted by both vampires and lycans, Celine and Michael flee together. Back at the vampire's mansion, the sole surviving vampire elder Marcus awakens after Singe's blood seeps into his sarcophagus. Set up the sequel. The werewolf transformations in Underworld combine practical effects with CGI. Honestly, this is the first film where I feel like the CGI transformations are genuinely good. They don't reach the heights of great practical transformation scenes like in American Werewolf in London, but they are more than enough to satisfy. Michael gets two great transformations. His first transformation in the back of the police car goes inside his body, showing his ribs and internal organs cracking and changing. It's a way of showing the metamorphosis, almost impossible to do without using CGI. His second metamorphosis into the vampire-werewolf hybrid was a more traditional transformation. The lycans maintain a more humanoid appearance here than traditional werewolves, allowing for better action sequences and character expression. One significant change is that the lycans are less hairy than the traditional werewolf form. I suspect this was a change made to best work within the constraints of the computer generation process at the time. The transformation sequences emphasize bone structure changes and muscle growth, creating a visual style that sets them apart from other werewolf films of that era. I love how this project keeps unveiling discoveries. I can now confidently say that Underworld introduced something completely new to werewolf cinema, the concept of an organized war between werewolves and vampires. While we had seen individual werewolves battle lone vampires before, nothing approached this scale. In fact, before Underworld, these creatures more commonly worked together. However, this idea might not be entirely original to the movie. In 2003, White Wolf Publishing and author Nancy Collins sued Sony Pictures, Screen Gems, and Lakeshore Entertainment. They claimed Underworld borrowed heavily from their World of Darkness games, particularly Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, and Collins' Sonya Blue novels. The lawsuit focused on specific elements like the ancient vampire-werewolf war, supernatural powers, and even terminology. The case was eventually settled out of court with undisclosed terms, so we can't know for certain whether these claims had merit. Interestingly, Underworld co-creator Kevin Grevioux was reportedly a player of White Wolf's games, although this alone doesn't prove anything about copyright infringement. The movie proceeded as planned and launched a successful franchise. I was a White Wolf game player at the time, and I can see the argument, but I don't really think they infringed. That's just my opinion. Underworld creates its own unique werewolf mythology by mixing traditional and modern elements. The lycans can transform whenever they choose, not just during full moons. Though Michael's first change does happen under a full moon, maintaining that classic connection, something subtly reinforced by Celine's name, which comes from the Greek moon goddess. The film modernizes the silver weakness by introducing silver nitrate bullets, an idea we'd only seen before in 1993's Full Eclipse. The lycans keep their human intelligence even in wolf form, making them true equals to the vampires. The film creates what seems to be a completely new origin story for both species. It all starts with Corvinus, who survived an ancient plague thanks to a genetic mutation. This mutation mixed with the plague's pathogen, making him immortal. His sons inherited this trait. One was bitten by a bat, the other by a wolf, which those diseases created the first vampire and werewolf. Many questions remain unanswered, like how their infected descendants began fighting each other, leaving plenty of material for sequels to flesh out and explore. This genetic aspect also introduces the possibility of hybridization, setting up Michael's unique condition. So moving on to the themes. While Underworld presents itself as a stylish vampire versus werewolf action horror film, it also functions as a sophisticated allegory for class warfare and social inequality, using its supernatural conflict to mirror both historical class struggles and contemporary socioeconomic divisions. The vampires represent aristocratic privilege through every facet of their existence, from their opulent mansions and designer clothing to their rigid social hierarchy with pure blood elders and noble councils. Their immortality serves as a metaphor for inherited wealth and power, while their obsession with blood purity parallels aristocratic preoccupation with lineage, proper lineage. The lycans, conversely, represent the oppressed working class, with their physical transformations and bodily combat reflecting manual labor, contrasting with the vampire's reliance on technology and firearms. This class dynamic is cemented in the narrative's backstory, where lycans were enslaved as daylight guardians for vampires, with their uprising under Lucian parallel to historical slave rebellions and working class revolutions. The film's visual language reinforces its class commentary through aesthetic choices. Vampires inhabit Gothic mansions and they drive luxury cars, symbolizing that generational wealth, while lycans dwell in the sewers and abandoned factories, spaces emblematic of both literal resistance movements and marginalized communities. This division extends to their attire. Vampires in tailored suits and designer leather, lycans in practical, worn clothing suited for physical labor. These class distinctions manifest in physical appearance and behavior. Vampires appear pale, refined, and graceful. They speak formally, while lycans are portrayed as rough and muscular with direct speech and movement patterns. Even in human form, their retained wildness marks them as outsiders in vampiric society, reflecting real-world prejudice against those who labor with their hands. Through Celine, the protagonist of the film, we explore the awakening class consciousness. As a vampire who recognizes her society's oppressive nature, she represents the aristocrat who becomes aware of systemic equality and fights against it. Her relationship with Michael, a vampire-lycan hybrid, suggests the possibility of transcending class boundaries, while the violent opposition they face from vampire elders illustrates the upper class's fierce resistance to social change. The film's effectiveness lies in how seamlessly it integrates these themes into its supernatural mythology. The physical and social differences between vampires and lycans serve both the surface narrative and the deeper social commentary, allowing the film to explore complex social issues while maintaining a great appeal as an action horror spectacle. Now, let's talk about romance. At its heart, this film presents a love story between Celine, a vampire death dealer, and Michael Corbin, a human who becomes a hybrid. Their romance blends classic forbidden love tropes with modern social commentary, addressing prejudice and segregation. The film draws both subtle and clear parallels to Romeo and Juliet, notably when Celine first spots Michael from above the city streets, echoing Shakespeare's iconic balcony scene. Like Shakespeare's lovers, they belong to warring factions divided by an ancient hatred. But Underworld boosts these stakes through literal biological differences between its lovers. For vampires, Celine's attraction to Michael threatens their strict social order and their age-old war against the lycans. While the lycans do show more openness to the change, Michael's hybrid nature challenges their identity and suggests cooperation with their oppressors. Unlike Romeo and Juliet, who faced opposition mainly from their families, Celine and Michael confront entire societies built on mutual hatred. The parallel historical love story of Lucian and Sonia adds a deeper meaning to this forbidden romance. Their tragic tale serves as both a warning and inspiration for Celine and Michael. When Sonia's father Victor executes her for loving a lycan, we see the deadly price of crossing social boundaries in their world. Michael's transformation into a hybrid carries special significance, suggesting love can create something stronger and more evolved than its parts, challenging the belief that different groups must stay forever divided and hostile. This love story resonates with real-world meaning by design. Screenwriter Kevin Grevioux drew from his personal experiences with interracial relationships and the prejudices that they faced. This personal connection enriches the film's exploration of loving across social boundaries. By using supernatural metaphors to address these sensitive, real-world issues, the film makes them both more approachable and universal. While inspired by interracial relationships, the metaphor extends into interreligious and other cross-cultural loves. The film shows how love can lead people to question their inherited prejudices. As Celine uncovers the lies about lycans and her society's history, we see a journey mirroring real-world experiences of confronting socialized biases. Her decision to stand with Michael against her own kind represents the challenging path of embracing deeper truths. The ending suggests that while love across boundaries demands great sacrifice, It holds the power to transform. Celine and Michael's survival, despite all attempts to destroy them, offers hope that love can overcome even the deepest social divisions. Their union points towards a future where artificial barriers between groups might give way to understanding and acceptance. Of course, we have several sequels for us to reach that point. And this brings us to a discussion of the lies that did shape Celine's world. Underworld shows us how those in power can twist and control stories to their advantage. Throughout the film, we see how dominant groups reshape history to keep their authority and defend their actions. As each new truth comes to light, both the characters and the viewers rethink everything that they think they understand about this world. Celine stands at the heart of this deception, her entire worldview built on a carefully crafted lie. She believes Victor's version of events. Wild lycans killed her family, lycans are nothing but savage beasts, and vampires are noble protectors. She dedicates herself to Victor's cause because she believes she's avenging her family and protecting others from facing a similar fate. This personal mission makes her the perfect warrior for maintaining vampiric control. But as the film unfolds, we learn that Victor's been twisting the truth. The most shattering revelation comes when Celine learns that Victor himself murdered her family. This wasn't some random lycan attack. It was Victor's calculated move to both cover up his killing of Sonia and gain a replacement daughter. This personal betrayal shows how changing history affects not just society at large, but individual lives and identities. Another key deception centers on Lucian's supposed death. Victor's rule and Craven's leadership position partially depend on everyone believing that Lucian, the legendary lycan leader, died at Craven's hands for the greater good. This fact helps justify their continued violence against lycans by painting them as mindless beasts rather than an organized resistance with valid grievances. When we learn that Lucian lives and that Craven worked with him, we can see how fake histories serve political goals. But the biggest historical lie involves the very roots of the vampire-lycan war. The official story paints lycans as naturally violent creatures who turned against their superior vampire masters. The truth tells a different tale, one of slavery, forbidden love, and cruel oppression. Victor's execution of his daughter Sonia for loving Lucian and carrying his child sparked the real war. This truth transforms the conflict from a simple good versus evil story into a more complex tale about power, prejudice, and oppression. When Celine finally turns against Victor, she rejects not just his authority, but the entire false history that supported that authority. The film suggests that we need historical truth to achieve real justice. Only by understanding the true history of the vampire-lycan conflict can characters make moral choices about their present actions. This mirrors real-world debates about history. The film suggests that societies can only move forward by maintaining an honest historical record. Underworld offers a thoughtful look at how historical stories shape both society and personal identity. It shows us that questioning official histories isn't just an academic exercise. Of course, this doesn't mean every conspiracy theorist who claims to know the real story is right. Not every official story is a lie, but some are. So, if you like lycanthropes, like, share, and subscribe. Contribute your thoughts and additional observations in the comments below. Let me know what I missed or what you noticed. Next, I plan on discussing Ginger Snap's Back, the beginning from 2004. Keep your eye on the moon, a silver bullet in the chamber, and we'll see you back next episode.